A fallen god lies in state as mourners gather in the Sirtuan catacombs. Lightray, visibly shaken, turns to Highfather with a heartfelt question about death among gods. A passage from the Prometheus Codex the Five explains that eternal archetypes, like death itself, govern all of existence. Highfather affirms this, telling Lightray the departed has returned to the source, the place from which all divinity comes. Lightray stands among the wreckage of a dying world, questioning Metron about Highfather's reasons for sending him there. Metron, calm and detached, suggests it's to help Lightray grasp the fleeting essence of life and the importance of hope. As Lightray reflects on death's role in giving life meaning, an excerpt from the Prometheus Codex ponders death as an eternal constant that shapes all existence. Lightray asks what happens when things end, and Metron explains that in death, information is not lost but transformed, immortal in its own way. In the heat of battle, Lightray turns to Orion with a quiet question about the fate of gods when they die. Orion, ever blunt, dismisses the notion with a harsh truth. He believes death brings nothingness, and he enforces that end himself. Lightray presses further, and Orion acknowledges the looming presence of the Black Racer, the silent figure who watches from the shadows. To Orion, the Racer is a god of nothing, embodying death in its most meaningless form. Standing before the body of a fallen god, Lightray asks the Black Racer what lies at the end for beings like them. The Racer acknowledges Lightray's curiosity but withholds the answer, offering a contest instead. He challenges Lightray to a cosmic chase, promising the truth only if he is ever caught. As they race across the stars, the Racer declares that their actions reflect who they truly are, and that he always plays to win. Black Racer promises Lightray that the day he catches Lightray, Lightray will have his answer. Meanwhile, Lightray fiercely tears through an enemy vessel in the present. Metron, watching from afar, calls out to him and Akala. In the final moment, Highfather steps onto the field with calm authority, commanding the battlefield to be cleared. Highfather stands tall in a blinding display of power, his presence commanding the battlefield. Meanwhile, Lightray works with Akala to ensure their warriors are free. As the effort pushes him to his limits, Metron's voice cuts through the moment, urgently calling out to him. Lightray turns, and Metron, serious and focused, requests a word. Karok watches Highfather unleash a glimpse of his godly power and calls it the power of a god. Highfather stands calm, explaining he has merely unsheathed the alpha effect, capable of reshaping matter itself. Despite Karok's attack on New Genesis, Highfather chooses diplomacy over wrath, asking Karok to leave in peace. Karok, however, sees only arrogance, calling Highfather's restraint hubris. With a cold stare, Karok declares he's seen this kind of god before. He recalls how Darkseid once claimed godhood before falling, using him as a warning to challenge Highfather's divinity. Declaring himself a Nightborn of the Nectari, Karok insists their time has come to replace the old gods. He offers New Genesis the same ultimatum he once received: convert or be conquered. But before he can finish, Highfather answers not with words, but with a surge of divine energy from his staff, unleashing the source in a stunning act of defiance. In a burst of radiant power, Karok and his forces are obliterated, their bodies dissolving into light and shredded flesh. Highfather stands over the aftermath, his expression steady and solemn. Without a word, he turns away from the fallen, staff in hand. With quiet finality, he walks off into the light. Karok begins to speak, causing Highfather to glance back in shock. Karok reveals that he too once sought salvation after his world was destroyed. But instead of light, he found darkness, an ancient force far older than any divine power Isaiah wields. From the wreckage, Karok and his monstrous forces begin to reconstitute, their forms twisting and reforming. In defiance, Karok rejects Highfather's power, declaring it meaningless. With chilling certainty, he summons his forces and proclaims the end of the gods. As Karok's ominous declaration lingers, the scene shifts to Earth where tensions flare among the new gods. Orion aggressively confronts Scott and Big Barda over the mysterious young god Kamal, who appears unstable. Barda steps in, landing a powerful knee to Orion to protect them. Meanwhile, Kamal begins to surge with unpredictable energy. Alarmed, Orion calls out to stop the boy before it's too late. Kamal's unleashed power sends Orion crashing through the landscape, while his mother desperately calls out, trying to reach him. Scott searches for Orion in the aftermath, only to be warned by Barda as Orion blasts out of the rubble. Now burning with fury and glowing with power, Orion confronts them, declaring Kamal a threat too dangerous to ignore. He accuses them of protecting a time bomb and insists it's time to stop holding back. Back on New Genesis, Highfather clashes with Karok in a fierce battle. Karok taunts him, mocking his confidence and the absence of the other gods. As their fight rages on, Karok's corrupted power begins to overwhelm Highfather, physically and mentally. With brutal force, Karok lands a punishing blow, proclaiming the unstoppable purity of his darkness. Highfather, breathless, struggles to remain standing. As Karok's fleet rains destruction upon New Genesis, he declares that the gods will watch their world fall and be stripped of meaning. A battered Highfather lies at his feet, while Karok mocks him, saying old powers like his must fade. He reveals plans to appoint a new ruler to oversee the ruins of New Genesis. With cruel pride, Karok unveils his chosen steward, Darkseid's abandoned son, Graven, now reborn and empowered by darkness. As Highfather lies wounded before Karok and Graven, Karok grants Darkseid's son the honor of delivering the final blow. Graven unleashes his Omega beams, aiming to finish what his father never could. But before the deadly energy strikes, Lightray appears in a burst of brilliance. His beam intercepts and obliterates Graven's attack, shielding Highfather from death at the last moment. Graven attacks with his Omega beams once more, but Lightray boldly counters them again with his radiant energy. As the battle intensifies, Akala rushes in to rescue Highfather, urging him to escape. But Highfather refuses to abandon Lightray, insisting he won't let him face this alone. Metron silently observes the moment, knowing Lightray understands the cost of what's to come. In Metron's words, Lightray embraces his fate willingly. Metron kneels beside Highfather, urging him to trust Lightray and become the leader his people now need. In a devastating turn, Karok drives his blade through Lightray, leaving him fatally wounded. Highfather narrates the fall of New Genesis with sorrow, questioning where hope can now reside. Metron suggests Earth as their last refuge, where the Source may have been guiding them all along. But realization strikes Highfather. He sent Orion to destroy the very prophecy Metron now believes is their salvation. Highfather's thoughts linger in regret as Mr. Miracle and Big Barda stand protectively in front of Kamal and his mother. Scott urges Orion to trust him, reminding him that it was his own brother who asked him to save the child. But Orion, consumed by duty and rage, declares that the only way to stop him is by force. Charging forward, he prepares to strike, convinced that the power of Highfather is with him. Yet as he closes in, a blur races toward them, and Orion says aloud that if Kamal is going to survive, he's going to need a miracle. In a flash of speed and strength, Superman intercepts Orion's devastating punch just in time, saving Mr. Miracle and the young god Kamal. The two powerhouses lock hands midair, their clash shaking the earth below. Behind them, Scott watches in awe and relief.